Sup, today we're talking about the Granit, the new tank for Maulers. Let's take a look what he can do. Greetings comrades, Soviet Gaming here. So here's our new Mauler Tanky guy. Strength-based hero, tank, and tank, well, basically that was expected. Looks is pretty fantastic, I like how it looks. Let's take a look at his usability, his skills, and everything. Once again, pretty loud guy, first of all, I didn't expect... Somewhere new heroes are getting louder and louder. So okay, the first ultimate skill, Sand Vortex. Granit is born from the earth and cannot be knocked into the air, so he's immune to the crowd control. By putting him into the air, he can be knocked back and up. Granit unleashes a tempestuous Sand Vortex, dealing 320% damage to all enemies within its area of effect, interrupting their casting, simultaneously marking them with the mark of Pertification. If an enemy is already marked, the mark is removed and the enemy is subsequently pertified, during which time they cannot complete any actions or recover energy for 5 seconds. Moreover, the damage by the pertified enemies is increased by 40% and the duration of the pertify is increased to 6 seconds on level 3. So that's an ultimate and it's actually pretty interesting. It will all be based on the area of effect, like how big AoE is. If it will be big enough, that will be good. If not, that's sad. But yeah, there are more things to it, so let's go over those and then we'll kinda get the understanding of the hero. The second ability, Stone Skin. Granit receives a shield that is able to mitigate damage equal to 280% of his own attack rating, which exists for 6 seconds. Soon afterwards, Granit transfers 50% of the shield's value to the most injured allied hero, protecting them for 6 seconds, knocking back any enemies surrounding them in the process. If there are no surviving allies on the battlefield, no shield transfer will take place. So, by the way, yeah, the damage will be higher 320% and duration that ally is protected by the shield for is increased to 8 seconds. This is nice, that will allow his ally to be protected, but the value is based off attack rating, and take a look at his attack rating, 40, in comparison with the health, 900k. So, the shield will be like 3 times 120k shield, which is non-existent. That's not that much. That will just take out some AoE. I don't know, not that crazy. But there is one more thing. Soon afterwards. How soon is that? It's not instant, so we gotta check that out. Next one, Earth Tremors. Granit causes surrounding enemies to fall towards himself, interrupting their casting, simultaneously dealing 140% damage to them. Shortly after, that's new, Granit smashes the ground, which deals 120% damage to the enemies in front of him and also sends them hurtling into the air. Damage caused by smashing the ground is increased to 160 instead of 120. And every enemy hero struck when Granit smashes the ground causes him to recover 60 energy points. So that's the main thing about this. That attack, if it attacks enemy, will give him some energy. So yeah, 5 enemies struck by this will be 300 energy, which is good. But you gotta do the right options, right team compositions for that. And the last one, passive, Earthen Resilience. At the start of the battle, Granit received a shield that is able to mitigate damage equal to 15% of his max health. The shield is reset once every 12 seconds. That's actually pretty good. He is being used as a tank in the non-high deficit areas. Value of the shield is raised to equal to 25% of his max health, so that's already pretty good. That will be a good shield. And when Granit is using his shield, the damage he receives is reduced by 50%. So this should make him a pretty good tank on paper. In the areas that are not high deficit. In the high deficit, that most likely will be like, pew, you're dead. I don't know, probably. That's what I read on Reddit. Let's go to the signature item. Desert's Core, giving him more physical resist, so that's actually pretty good. The ability, if there are still surviving allied heroes on the battlefield, they will additionally trigger the ability Sand Vortex upon Granit's death. So when he will die, that ability will be triggered on the allied heroes who are still alive. Now, bonuses. Plus 10 and plus 20 each time Granit uses the ability Sand Vortex, his energy recovery rate is increased by 20%, and this effect can be stacked 5 times, so it's 10 and 20% additional energy regen. Once again, good for long fights where he can survive, bad for, like, you know, high deficit areas where everyone is one-shotted. Plus 30, which is really important for this guy. At the start of the battle, Granit marks all enemies with the mark of Fortification. So, if you have this, when you enter the battle and use the ultimate once, the enemies will get fortified if they get into the range of the AoE. That will allow them to be stunned for 6 seconds, and they will increase received damage, like the damage received will be higher by 40%. Moreover, with the signature item, if the Granit dies, all allies will trigger that Sand Vortex again, so that means that it will be able to trigger it once per battle for sure, even if he's one-shotted, yeah. And that is good for high deficit areas, so that's his use there. We'll talk about team compositions and his use a bit later, but yeah, now let's move on to the furniture. Alright, Aftershock. 3 pieces. When the shield provided by Earthen Resilience is reset, Granit's next normal attack shall be strengthened. The attack area of effect is increased and the enemies are dealt 240% damage. So that's a small increase in his damage, but since he's a tank, I don't know, that feels kinda useless to me. 9 pieces. The strengthened normal attack now allow Granit to additionally steal 100 accuracy points and 10 haste points for 6 seconds from the enemies that are dealt damage. So this is better, this is actually pretty good. That will lower the enemy accuracy and haste, that will make them slower and, well, less accurate. But what's good about it for this guy, that when he'll get the haste, he will be able to use his abilities more often. So that might be good, once again, not in the high deficit. In the high deficit, lowering haste might be good, yeah, but he need to survive for that, so... Depends. So, the main things about this hero, out of the skill set and the furniture and everything, is that he can kinda interrupt a lot of spell casting and mages and abilities. So, for someone who will cast spells, he might be problematic. He kinda puts them down, push them up and all that, moving them through the battlefield. The Sand Vortex is a good stun, so a lot of crowd control on this guy. And a small shield for the ally, which is... I don't know, that's not that much. The good thing about this shield is that the enemies will be knocked back, and that's the main thing about it, because I think that value of the shield will be destroyed instantly. We'll try to test that today. Overall, on paper, based on the skills, he looks like a good tank, but I'm not sure that he can find his use in the end game. Probably, okay, in the team compositions. Now let's move on to the Arena of Trials. First of all, let's take a look at his skill set over here in the auto and slow fight, not that fast, 1 speed please. So there we go, that's his slam, that doesn't do that much AoE. Let's take a look at the Vortex though. Slam, okay, Vortex. Oh, alright, that's a cone-shaped skill. I wonder how useful is that. So, in order to use Vortex properly, I feel that this guy will have 2 enemies stacked together, so something like 5 pull, like Screat will be necessary, Aaron maybe. Without it, the enemies, like, they won't be able to stack together, so you won't be able to stun them, fortify or whatever. I want to see how much time it requires for him to transfer the shield though. So he got the shield at the start of the battle. Stun, okay, now he's getting the shield and transferring it to the ally, so it takes like a few seconds. That's quite a long time, guys. The shield doesn't recover that often. That takes forever to make the shield again, so pretty much useless ability. Transferred. The enemies aren't knocked back that much, by the way. They were knocked back just for an inch. I don't know. Alright, so we see the skills, how they act here. Now let's go and test him in the actual fight. Let's see how tanky you are. Let's go. So we start the fight and I wonder like how his abilities will work and how tanky he will be. We lost Rain already. There are some light bursts on the enemy team. Purification marks on everyone because of the ability ultimate. Bam! And only 1 enemy got purified. So unless he will be killed, the purify won't do that much. Take a look, he's just being annoying and taking space. And he's moving so slowly. That's hilarious. But let's be fair, guys. He didn't die, so pretty tanky. We also won this somehow. So yeah, in terms of tanking, he is actually pretty good. Let's move to the next fight and test something else. I want to see him dead to see how it will trigger, like the ability, how it will trigger. Oh, we have Aaron here. That will be interesting. So can we do the pool, and then I wanna see how it will work with the 5 pool. Do we have squid here? No. Let's try it like that. So I wanna see how it will work if Aaron will pull enemies together and like how it will work in the end. Here they are over here. Our tank Granit doesn't wanna die, but Aaron just destroyed everyone. Gosh, that was fast fight. Why they're dying so easily? Yeah, unlikely we won't be able to see that because the enemies are all dead. Let's try it here as well. So we have enemy Aaron and our Aaron here. We will see if he'll be pulled by Aaron. He shouldn't because he can be put up in the air. Let's check it out. Yeah, he wasn't pulled by Aaron, so no Aaron pull for Granit as well. That's good. Another test. Can Warwick flip him over and push him around with his kicking? Let's see. I want him to die, so everyone will release the vortex. Because we are at the full furniture and full everything. So there we go. Everyone pull to Aaron. Granit is right here using the ultimate. Bam! Bunch of enemies are stunned, and that is actually really strong. Really strong here. So Aaron with Granit works really well together, and the enemies will be destroyed there because they were petrified and everything, so rip them. Good stuff, good stuff. In terms of the damage, I mean, yeah, you don't expect him to be that strong, so pretty fair here. No point to looking at the battle statistics for this guy. So right, one more try and then we'll move on to the guild trials testing with a higher deficit where he can actually die and see how he will behave in that situation. In the normal fights, he is really strong right now. He doesn't die at all, he didn't die once, and he's petrified when used properly, when you can stack enemies together. Like Screat, Aaron, all those options are working really well. Moreover, in the Mauler Tower, you can couple him with Cran. That will allow you to do even more DPS in that area, so yeah. Look at that, nobody is going to die. Like, some random teams I'm making, I haven't even thought about what I'm doing here, are just decimating the enemies. That Purify ability is really strong though, 8 seconds of stun. That's insane, during which the enemies take additional damage. So yeah, let's go guild trials. Enemies are 3 times more powerful, 100 level deficit, not that much, not that low. We can test him out in 5 pool, so we will see if he will work really well with that AoE stun. Cran and Script, I wanna try this, so basically most damage will come from those guys, so I wanna place him there. Yeah, Cran will actually help him and everyone else, so that might actually work really well. Let's give it a try. I don't want to bother with artifacts, to be honest, so we just want to test the basics here. Auto 1x speed. All the enemies got the debuff, and look at that. Everybody is dying, but he isn't going to die. And we didn't manage to do it properly. There we go. All enemies are stunned there together, stacked up. He dead. The enemies got that ability. That worked pretty well. So we can see that it worked at this difficulty. That's not that high, but that worked really well with this team. So right guys, 5 pool works really well with this team. So on the high deficit, like this one, it is really nice, even if some enemies don't really trigger straight away. Most of them are stunned here, petrified, and Lucretia will be able to do insane amount of damage on the petrified enemies and finish off the rest. So yeah, fantastic team composition addition that will allow enemies to be stunned early on and allow Lucretia to unleash her evilness. By the way guys, it's not that easy to make him die early on because he is a pretty tanky guy. So in all the teams that I've tried so far, he usually dies very late. There we go, we got petrified most enemies here. So using him to be sacrificed early on so he will die and all your guys will trigger the vortex is a little bit problematic. So you will probably need him not to be that invested into the gear if you want to use him as a early bait where he will die in Lucretia pool. But if you want to use him in the Mauler team, composition, you need to build him up because he is really tanky. And we can actually test him out in the Mauler Tower right now. The power difference isn't that huge, so it will be okay for newer players. All of my Maulers are not in the best shape, but we can test him out with the team that we have here and see if he will be able to do his job and how far we can push with that. So let's give him a go in the Mauler Tower and see how he will behave. I just equipped my hero with the stuff, no artifact on him. Alright, that looks a little bit better. No specific artifacts yet, so we will use the basic ones. And let's give it a go and see how it will work out. I equipped all the guys, so that should be on par with him. The thing is, he doesn't really die early, guys. And in order for him to be effective, you will need plus 30 signature item. Otherwise, his ultimate ability won't really do that much, so the enemies won't be petrified. And look at that, right now all the enemies are around the battlefield, so he doesn't have that much use in those situations. You want enemies to be close together in order for his ability to work properly. Luckily we have a Tendra who destroys the enemies, so we should be okay. Yeah, therefore a solid tank for the tower. He doesn't die at all, like he's the last one to die unless you go into the really high deficit areas. So I would say he's doing a really good job at pushing the Mauler Tower. Overall, not in the high deficit area, he's a really strong tank, really powerful, and he doesn't die that much. So that's a really hard guy to kill. So right, what are the good team compositions for him? First of all, it's a really good addition to the 5-pool team. So that will work for the most 5-pool core teams. You can always add Lucretia if you have her as a carry for this one. You can use different heroes as well. Aaron will do a fantastic job as a damage dealer here as well, not on the high deficit, but the top 5-pool team is Lucretia 5-pool. And this is a spot for your any support hero, so it can be either, well, Rowan usually is busy. Anyone will do. I can recommend Granit for this spot because his smoke screen will help a lot, and if you can keep him alive long enough, that would work really well, and that guy will trigger the stun purify ability that will allow Lucretia to do her job. So even at this high deficit, when properly placed, those guys can do fantastic things. Haven't tried it that much, but as you can see, guys, our guys are doing a really good job. Not everyone dies here, that's kind of weird, and they can use their abilities as well. So that Purify ability is a masterpiece, it's just increasing the damage by that much. And Lucretia can wreak havoc in those fights, so this is a really good option. Really nice. Bam. Done. Another option for him would be the Mauler Tower tank, where he can actually take a lot of damage and don't die early on. But I think that's all what you can do with him, because in the teams where enemies are all around the battle screen, where they don't stack together in one small group, he falls short because he moves slow. He doesn't have a lot of reach and AoE, so that allows him to be somewhere there being useless. So you want enemies close together in order for him to work well and use his full potential. Moreover, getting his vortex ability to work even with the full signature item leveled up, it might be problematic to cast it on all the enemies because it's a cone-shaped skill, so you gotta hit them all properly in order for it to work. So it's a little bit tricky as well. And the fact that his plus 3 furniture piece doesn't give him that much bonuses, and 9 piece will allow him to steal some accuracy and haste from the enemies, but for that he needs to be alive and well, so furniture is like not that good. Plus 30 will be a good starting point for you to try him, to test him. As for the artifacts, I think Barricade is pretty much a must for him because it will allow him to take the fatal damage from the highest combat rating ally every 15 seconds, which is, well, pretty good because you don't want to lose your carry. Other than that, other options, I'm not sure. Other tanky artifacts, Waste Band of Resilience doesn't seem to work for him because he's already pretty tanky and that won't change that much. Life's Limit might be situational use because it will lower the haste of the enemy from far away. Other than that, I'm not sure. Probably Barricade will be your best for this guy because, I mean, he's really tanky and he is really hard to move around. So that will allow him to be a little bit more of a use. So yeah, what are my overall thoughts on Granit? The new tank for Mauler is actually really nice. Out of the all Mauler tanks, I think he will be really good on par with Brutus, who have the invincibility window, but that guy will purify enemies, which will allow you to do more damage to them and they won't be able to harm your guys. So yeah, other tanks here aren't that crazy, those are more damage dealer and you know, utility guys. The problem with the Maulers right now that they have 3 warriors, 4 agility heroes, 4 mages, and only 1 support hero, so they need a new support in order to be viable. Right now they don't have that. They heavily rely on life drain, on life leech, but it doesn't seem to work all the time, so yeah. But as for this guy specifically, I like his skill set, I like his looks, I like his style, I like his 5 pull utility as well, but in order to get him there to work properly, you need at least plus 30 signature item. Without it, it will be wasted. The drawback that his stone skin shield on an ally doesn't give that much of a tankiness because it scales of his attack, which is really low. And yeah, that leaves him with just 3 nice skills over here. So yeah, pretty tanky tank. Nice if you want him to tank, nice if you can group the enemies together. In other cases, he will be pretty much a burden in your team because he'll be wandering around the battlefield trying to do something. Without the plus 30 signature item, he's bad. If you can make him dead early on and use the vortex on the enemies to stun them, that will be fantastic. That will allow you to get a lot of burst damage early on. Like for the teams where you have Lorson in them, so that will kind of burst the enemies down really fast, so one of the options. And guys, let me know in the comments what do you think about our new Mauler Tank. While you're going there, don't forget to like the videos and share it with your friends and guildies and join the Discord where we can discuss everything. The link will be down there in the video description and in the pinned comment. Subscribe to the channel, do all those things that you need to do with the videos. Thank you for watching, guys. Soviet out. До свидания.